Mayors read proclamations, and I'll read this one, and it's heartfelt. I spent some time in Galveston, Texas myself, and I have a fondness for the place. But let me read a little history here. Whereas on June 19th, 1865, nearly 9 decades after our nation's founding and more than 2 years after President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, enslaved Americans in Galveston, Texas finally received word that they were free from bondage. Whereas those who were formerly enslaved were recognized for the first time as citizens, Black Americans have come to commemorate Juneteenth with celebrations across the country, building new lives and a new tradition that we honor here today. Whereas Juneteenth became a national holiday on June 17, 2021, after President Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law, and whereas Juneteenth traditions include public readings of the Emancipation Proclamation, singing traditional songs such as Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, and Lift Every Voice and Sing, and reading of works by noted African-American writers, as well as sharing food of slave food delicacies, including barbecue and other traditional foods of the African-American culture connected with the celebration of Juneteenth. And now, therefore, I, Brian Dalton, Mayor of the City of Dallas, encourage all citizens to join with our neighbors and African-American community of Dallas to declare June 19th, 2022 a celebration of Juneteenth in our beloved community, and I signed it. There you go.
So I have to remember to slow down because I tend to talk really quickly, and if you want to know how quickly I can talk as quickly as so I won't. Juneteenth is one of those holidays that it's easy to ignore because it's brand new. Juneteenth is one of those holidays that doesn't mean much because it didn't affect you. Juneteenth is a holiday that we don't have to remember because somebody else is taking care of it. I need you to take care of me. I need you to remember me. I need you to participate in my life. I am a black man and I may not live to see tomorrow. It won't take much for somebody to get mad at me and to do something about it. And Juneteenth is the time that we get to talk about it. Talk about it freely, talk about our fears, talk about our hopes, talk about things that we can do with each other. One of the things I want to remind you of, at the Alamo there was a battle there. And I always thought they were heroes. Davy Crockett and all the other guys that showed up. What I didn't know is the Mexican army met them at the Alamo to stop slavery. These guys came to bring slavery into Texas. These guys were coming to reinforce the slave rights into Texas to claim one more state. And the Mexican army didn't want it there, didn't want it next to their nation, and didn't want their own people taken into slavery. That is part of Juneteenth. The other part of Juneteenth is Native Americans. This probably used to be a great hunting area, but not anymore. And one of the terms that we've used over our lifetime, and I can remember as a kid, is Indian giver. You know who the Indian giver was? U.S. government. Every single treaty, all of them were broken by the U.S. government. Juneteenth means much more than just a day of celebration in Texas. It's a day of freedom for each and every one of us. Each and every one of you, us, are a part of this freedom. I need your help in my life. I'll begin there. Slow down. Doing fine. Thank you. Don't say this doesn't hurt anyone. This, oh, okay. That's a note to me. Hi, my name's Frank Morris, and I do much better without a piece of paper in my hand. There's a phrase I want to use, and I don't want to offend anybody. I'm going to. There's a statement I want to make that I don't want to hurt your feelings or anything, but I'm going to. Young school kids' lives matter. that young man could be dead. At school, somebody walked in and shot. Black lives matter. There was a woman sleeping in bed at her boyfriend's house. Had done nothing wrong, was just spending the night there because she was tired from working all day and going to school all day. And she got shot through the wall and died. I have got to, for the last 2 years, I've been asked to do a lot of George Floyd stuff, and George Floyd is a friend of mine. And for a $20 bill, he was killed. And the most amazing thing is we're mad at Kaepernick for getting on his knee saying that there's injustice in America, but we're not so mad at a police officer getting on his knee and watching for 9.5 minutes him kill somebody because George Floyd did something wrong. Quit blaming the innocent, even if the innocent are guilty. School kids' lives matter. So do Native American lives. So do black lives. So do widows. So do single moms. All those lives matter. Juneteenth is much more than just a celebration of the freedom for one group of people. Juneteenth is a celebration for all of us to share freedom with all of us. One of the things that most bothers me is we don't know our neighbors. One of the phrases that really drives me nuts is, they used to say he was a nice, quiet guy until he walked into the store with a gun shooting everybody up. Really? What does his neighbors say? Well, none of his neighbors knew him. My challenge for the next year, before you come to Juneteenth next year, knock on the door of your neighbor, find out how they're doing. If you don't know where I live, take an effort and find where I live. And then knock on my door and ask how I'm doing. Why would I be scared to stand in the city park and talk? Because someone might be looking, someone might be getting mad. You know who needs to protect me? So for a year, protect your neighbors. For a year, offer them freedom. Celebrate Juneteenth. For a year, give them the same freedoms and abilities that each and every one of you enjoy. Because I don't enjoy the same freedoms you do. People warn me about going places. My wife is afraid for me in doing some things. I have to watch out the way I behave in certain areas. I'm involved with Celebrate Recovery, and there was a woman who had locked herself up inside her house, drunk. So I was going to go to her house and knock on the door and call her name and have her come out. While I was driving over there, I thought about it. A black man standing out some woman's house and knocking on the door yelling for her. You're going to get your butt shot. I need you to help me. I need you to go to her house and knock on the door. Invite her out. I need you to help protect me because I don't always get the freedoms that you get. I need your help. There's a story I want to share with you. It's from 1964. I'm not going to tell you a whole lot about it. Anyway, 1964, there's this guy named Frank Morris. True story. Frank Morris owned a shoe business in North Carolina, Concordia Parish. And Frank Morris was really kind to people around him, and the sheriff, a white sheriff, took advantage of Frank and had Frank repair his shoes all the time. Frank, he'd drop off his shoes and Frank would repair them, and the sheriff would come and take them, and Frank would ask for payment, and the sheriff said, ha ha ha, you're lucky I let you keep your door open. Well, the sheriff was the president of the KKK in that community. One day, Frank, who had whites and blacks visiting his business and everything else, the sheriff came by and dropped off his boots, and Frank kicked the boots into the street and said, no more. I'm done. Well, the sheriff was mad. But the sheriff couldn't do anything because it would cost him his job. So what the sheriff did was contact the KKK in the next town over and ask them to come and take care of it for him. So, I'll read now. The 51-year-old businessman was sleeping in the back of the store when he heard knocking on the front door and glass breaking. December 14th, 1964. When he ran to the front door, his building was on fire, and Frank ran to the back door where they had boarded it up and had to kick his way through. By the time he got outside, he was naked, burned, 3/4 of his body was 100% burned, and he collapsed on the ground. 3 days later, he died in prison. Or in the hospital. And he had to go to a secondary hospital. He couldn't go to the good hospital in town. The same day he died, Martin Luther King won the Nobel Peace Prize in Switzerland. It doesn't happen here. We just gave a peace prize. It doesn't happen here. Not in our community. It does. It does happen here. Frank Morris, the reason I like this story even more is because it's my name. The reason this story bothers me is because it's my name. There are good things going on all around me. I can list off a whole bunch of stuff that's really good and really happy and everything else. But I can still tell you I'm scared at times of the situations I walk into. There are things that I cannot do that you have freedoms to do. Sometimes I walk in the door and I realize that they're staring, not because my hair isn't done or I'm wearing lipstick. It's because I'm black. And I used to apologize for that. Done. When I was speaking on campus, I started crying at one point, and I said, I'm sorry. And one of the other women who was speaking there said, stop apologizing. I'm done. I need your help. I need you to walk with me. I need you to walk with all. I need none of us to be separated from any of us. I need all of us to be a member of each other. Some basic rules. Safety, we offer that to each other. Courtesy, we offer that to each other. Friendship, offer that to each other. Inclusion, give that to each other. Understanding, please don't tell me how I feel. I love how men sometimes still tell women how they ought to feel. Doesn't work well. Please don't do that for me. An opportunity. One of the hardest things, one of the worst words I've ever heard is nope. I've done everything. I've lived up to the expectation. I've fulfilled the role and everything else. Can I have the job? Nope. And I don't know why. Yes, I do. One last thought. The opposite of love is indifference. If you ignore me, I know you don't love me. If you turn away from me with a shake of the head, I know you don't love me. If it's easy to push me off, I know you have no care. One of the things that black folk have to learn, we go into restaurants in the Polk County area, and there'll be a black gentleman standing there or sitting and whatever, and we walk by each other and we avert our eyes from each other, not wanting to recognize, not wanting to acknowledge. Done. Now when I see another black man, black woman, or anything, hey, how are you? Ah! Be a little loud, be a little abrasive, scare somebody. Ah! But that's what I am. Charles Barkley wrote a book, Who's Afraid of the Big Black Man? Charles, I'm a little afraid of. You don't have to be afraid of me. I'm a really nice guy. And if you knock at my door, I'll probably invite you and offer you coffee or something. But Juneteenth, it begins today. It begins for some of us in our acknowledgement today. But let it carry on for a year. Touch somebody, love somebody, offer them help, offer them assistance, offer them a kind word, walk with them. But I need your help. I need to be a part of your community. I need you to help me be lifted up and not be afraid of where I live. Thank you.